Ladies and gentlemen, moving on, we would now feature two foreign investor testimonials. Firstly, we would like to invite from Shangri-La Asia Limited, Ms. Hui Kwok, the Chairperson and Executive Director, to share their experience on investing in Sri Lanka.
So how Shangri-La ended up in Sri Lanka goes back to August 2010. We were then invited by the Sri Lankan government to visit a few sites with the idea of us investing in a hotel project in Sri Lanka. And my colleague, who was then our CFO, Mr. Madhu Rao, led our senior team in this visit, and they visit quite a few different sites. And at the end of the 3 days, the current president, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, actually invited our team to a dinner, which he hosted along with a few other key government officials and friends. And at that dinner, he asked our team of our opinion of the sites that we had visited. And after some internal reflection, Mr. Rao spoke up and said, firstly, thank you for your hospitality, and then, we really enjoyed the sites. However, the one we actually liked the best is where the Army headquarters is, but of course, we understand that that is of strategic importance, and we are highly unlikely to be able to invest in this site. And President Gotabaya, who was then the Minister for Urban Development and Defense, very quickly said, the Civil War is over. The army doesn't actually need to be in the center of town. So if this is truly the site that you are interested in, then we can get it properly valued, and then we can take it forward from there. Now, from that conversation to when we actually took over that site was about a year. So that gives you an idea of how quickly things moved. And they moved quickly because I think firstly the government was very welcoming to foreign investors, and they were also very smart about gathering their key colleagues together to ensure that all our requests and queries were well handled through a proper process, but a non-bureaucratic one. So at that dinner in August 2010, there was a very distinguished diplomat, Professor Pires, and he was appointed as our main contact person to help us liaise with the different government departments. There was also a secretary for the Treasury who was also a very key contact person for us. So I think between the two of them, they really actually helped to coordinate and liaise on behalf of the Sri Lankan government with ourselves. And I think because it was such a well-coordinated effort, everything was very swiftly done. And I think what's amazing, I think, is from the time we started visiting the sites to the time we took over, in that 1 year period, the Army HQ was cleared, electricity was brought onto the site, and we were given a clean site to take over just 1 year later. So our experience actually of dealing with the government in Sri Lanka, especially in those very early days, was that it was very non-bureaucratic, very, very efficient, and actually everything was above board and very supportive of business, especially given that we were willing to consider investing into the country. I think that made them even more supportive. And of course, they very much saw the potential for tourism in Sri Lanka and were very keen to support a key project by Shangri-La into Sri Lanka. In all our dealings, everything was absolutely above board. I think the people we met with, they all seemed to show a genuine desire to support the development of their country. And so we were very much happy to be a part of all of that.
We would now like to invite Mr. Praveer Samarasinghe, the Chief Executive Officer of Overseas Realty Ceylon PLC, to speak to you about their investment journey in Sri Lanka.
Good day. Overseas Realty Ceylon PLC is a public listed company in the Colombo Stock Exchange that specializes in property development, investment, and management. We are actually the largest listed specialized property company in Sri Lanka. It's majority owned by Shinquan Group of Singapore, which has 85% of the shareholdings of the company. And over the last 25 years, we have invested over $500 million in two iconic developments in the country. I would now like to give you a bit of background information for you to better understand the context under which these investments were made and the reasons for it. Mr. S.P. Tao is a founder and chairman of Shinquan Group and is also the chairman of our company. He's a naturalized citizen of Singapore of Chinese origin and has had extensive worldwide business experience in commodities, shipping, and real estate. He was a chairman of Singapore Land in between 1972 and 1996, spearheading it to be the largest listed property company in the Singaporean Stock Exchange. His investments are primarily in Singapore and China, and also in the World Trade Center Jakarta and Colombo. Mr. Tao's association with Sri Lanka dates back to 1958, when he was dealing in commodities and shipping with the then Sri Lankan government and made a number of friends and contacts over the years. When the Singaporean government encouraged its citizens and corporates to venture outside Singapore and invest overseas, he again visited Sri Lanka in 1990 and, attracted by the many attractive incentives offered by the then government, decided to invest in his first major development, that is the World Trade Center Colombo. The World Trade Center Colombo comprised two twin towers of 39 stories each with a retail podium and has got over 130 major tenants: Colombo Stock Exchange, the BOI, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and even many multinational corporates housed in the World Trade Center. It is located in the heart of the Central Business District, and we invested US $130 million to build it, and that was the largest FDI as well as the largest commercial development in the country during that time. You will recall this was a period when Sri Lanka was undergoing immense issues, which is internal conflicts and civil unrest. That's the time these investments were made. The World Trade Center Colombo was opened in October 1997, and just 2 days after its opening, the LTTE detonated a truckload of explosives adjacent to its building in a neighboring car park, which caused extensive damage to the facade of the building. However, within a short period of 6 months, the building was restored to its original condition and glory, and operations commenced. Now I will show you a short video to better illustrate the development. Again, when peace talks commenced in Sri Lanka in 2005, Mr. Tao decided to invest in his second major development. The Havelock City development had both residential and commercial and an office component. The residential development comprised 8 towers with 1,100 luxury apartments, which was built in 4 phases from 2005 to 2020 at a cost of US dollars 200 million. Thereafter, in 2017, the office component was commenced, which had a 50-story office tower of A-grade office space and a 6-story shopping mall at a cost of US dollars 170 million. We're expecting to complete this development in December 2021 and open it out to public. I will now show a short video to better illustrate the development. As you know, all of these investments and investment commitments were made during a difficult time in the history of Sri Lanka, when foreign investors were second-guessing their investment decisions. I was told when Mr. Tao was once asked by a government minister whether he gambles, yes was his answer, and the biggest gamble he made was investing in the World Trade Center Colombo in the 1990s. However, it eventually paid off. It's important to know it eventually paid off. After 30 years of civil conflict, which ended in 2009, Sri Lanka is now starving for accelerated growth, investment, and development. The investment climate is totally different now, and it's extremely positive. We have got a very positive government for foreign investors. We have also got a very positive and supportive BOI who guides and supports its investors from inception to completion. And in particularly for the property sector, we have also got a very supportive urban development authority that assists you during the development process. I would now like to take this opportunity to share a few key factors that influenced our investments in Sri Lanka. Firstly, the long-term prospects for Sri Lanka. We are extremely positive and optimistic about the long-term future prospects for this country. Sri Lanka's strategic location next to India and being in the center of the shipping routes from the east to the west, and also being in close proximity to China and China's One Belt, One Road initiatives, we believe Sri Lanka is well positioned to grow its services sector and position itself for the future. We believe Sri Lanka will evolve into a prominent regional destination for tourism, logistics, and services in the next decade. So we are extremely positive about this country, and that's the primary reason for investing. And we also firmly believe the property sector in general and our businesses in particular will be well positioned to be a direct beneficiary of the economic and social development of the country. Secondly, the many attractive incentives and concessions offered was another key factor for the investment. The World Trade Center was conferred a flagship status with numerous generous concessions. Our hand block city development was also offered many attractive incentives and benefits. Additionally, we have got a working democracy with smooth transition of governments, a sound legal framework and rule of law, established banking and financial reporting systems, and skilled people which provide further comfort for investors. In concluding, I would like to say that our journey was not free of issues and challenges. In addition to the political and economic uncertainties and cycles all businesses have to face, at times policy inconsistency, the depreciating Sri Lankan rupee, and delays in approvals have hampered our progress. At times, it may be frustrating when delays occur and you cannot do things as fast as you wish to do it or as efficiently as in countries like Singapore. However, you need to have patience and understand the way of working in this country and adjust yourself, and eventually the work will get done. I would also like to advise you that Sri Lanka is not a place for short-term quick returns. You must have a long-term view of your investment and a long-term perspective. And then your investment will be rewarding and beyond your expectations. We at Overseas Realty are blessed by having strong shareholders with a long-term view of this country. Thank you.